Hello there, this is Alana Tucky, and I received a question about this problem, which is 3.1, number 35 from the actual textbook. You can tell that by looking in the top right corner over here, and that's how it's going to show up in the study plan. Now, where it shows up in your particular homework or quiz, who knows. Okay, so let me view an example here. Make it bigger. It says a professor has recorded exam grades for 15 students in his class, but one of the grades is no longer readable. If the mean score on the exam was 83 and the mean of the 14 unreadable scores is 87, what is the value of the unreadable score? Okay, so let me write this out here. Okay, so let's think about this. You have 15 students. I think it said 15. Let me go back. Yeah, 15 students. So let's think about how you would find the average for that. You'd take score number 1, and then you'd add score number 2. Okay, plus ... Right, all the way up to score number 15. And you'd add them up and you'd divide by 15, and that would be equal to your average. Well, technically it's the mean. Let's call it what it is. Average is a terrible word. Okay, so then let's think. They told us that the average, the mean, was 83, and they told us that the first 15 or 14 of the scores added up to, hold on, where was it? The mean score on the exam was 83, and the mean of the 14 unreadable scores is 87. What is the value of the unreadable score? Okay. So, all right. So we know that if we take the first 14 and let me put it this way. If you take the 14 readable scores, right? Just look at those 14 for just a second. You want to know what the first 14 add up to. So let's say the 15th one, this one right here, is the one you don't know, right? Okay, so let's take the first 14 scores and start there. We know that if we add them up and we divide by 14, we're going to get, wait for it, 87, because it says the average of the first 14 readable scores is 87. Okay, so we know this is equal to 87. Okay, well, I want to solve this for these first 14 scores, right? That way I'd know what the heck I'm doing, right? Okay, so I'd say, okay, if I know what these first 14 scores are, if I could find what that number is, I could put that number in for this bit and just leave the 15th score as the one that I don't know. Okay, so how would I do that? Well, you need to get rid of this division by 14. That's no good to you. So you're going to multiply both sides, because you can, by 14. A little bit of algebra here. Okay, so why am I multiplying by 14? Well, because division and multiplication are inverse operations of each other, right? So when I divide by 14 and I multiply by 14, they will reduce down to 1, i.e. they cancel, right, is what a lot of teachers would say. All right, and that means that these first 14 scores must be equal to whatever the heck 87 times 14 is. So let me grab a calculator. 87 times 14, enter. Or if you like Excel, that'll work, equals 87 times 14. There you go, 1218. Okay, so I know those first two scores, or first 14 scores, make 1218. All right, so I'm going to use that down here for the one that I don't know. I'm going to say, okay, I know that if I add up all 15 scores and divide by 15, I'll get the mean, which was something 83. Hold on, I got to go back. Let's see. Yeah, 83 right there. So it says the mean on the exam was 83. Okay, so I know I'm going to get 83. But I know these first 14 scores. Actually, let me copy and paste this so that way we can get all this in. All right, but I know these first 14 scores add up to 1218, right? And then I know that it's going to be equal to 83 because they said so. So now you have to use algebra to solve for this 15th x value. So you multiply both sides by 15. And again, you're doing that because then they will disappear on you and make your life happy. But in algebra, you learn that if you have two sides of an equation, you can't do something to one side without doing it to the other. So I need to know what 83 times 15 is. 1245. Okay. So I know 1218 plus x number 15 is equal to 1245. So I need to solve this for that x in there. So I'm going to subtract 1218 from both sides. So I'll get x15 is equal to 1245 minus 1218, which is, what is it, 27, I think. I'll double check that. I'm doing that in my head. There we go, 27. So somebody did not do well on that test. And that's how you find that, right? So it's a little bit complicated. So you take your first 14 scores that you know, and then you solve, right, the first 14 scores right here. You say, okay, if I added them up and divided by 14, that would get me the average that I know, 87. You multiply both by 14, both sides, and find out that the sum is 1218 or whatever it is for your problem. And then you say, okay, well, if that's what it is for the first 14, then for the 15, I would add them up and divide by 15 and set it equal to the other mean that they gave me, the mean of the actual exam. Substitute in the numbers I know, the one I found up here, 1218, multiply both sides by 15, and then subtract the 1218 or whatever it might be in your problem, and you'll find the missing exam score. All right, I hope that helps. I'll see you back here for more videos.